Women are leaders everywhere you look, from the CEO who runs a Fortune 500 company to the housewife who raises her children and heads her household. Our society is filled by strong women who continue to break down walls and defy stereotypes. Our guest today is an exceptional woman. She's the managing director of Right Here Tanzania, a full-services advertising agency based in Dar es Salaam and part of the Publicis Africa Group, an international agency network. I'm honored to have Jenny Woodier on the show with us today. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Jenny.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit something about yourself, something the viewers would be interested in knowing?
Sure. When I'm not working, which is rarely, I am a very keen traveller. I love exploring new cultures, travelling around Africa and the wider world, meeting people, learning languages. I love to talk with people wherever I go.
Okay. That's amazing. I think it's a good use of time traveling. What about a little bit about your education?
It's always, I've had quite a broad education in a variety of subjects, which I think is a good thing. I studied maths, English and French at A-level, and then history and French at university, which at the time felt a little bit worrying because I wasn't sure where I was going to go in my career. But it turned out I then got an opportunity to do a master's at King's College in cultural and creative industry.
Oh, wow.
And it was there that I discovered marketing. It was part of the course. And I realised that having a broad range of subjects was actually a big benefit in the marketing field. You know, one day you're looking at creative, the next you're dealing with contracts and finances, and it's all worked out great.
Yeah, and I think with marketing, it's so nice because you can be so innovative, right? Especially here, because there's so much potential to do so many different things and use your imagination. That's excellent. So can you give us a brief background on what you do and what led you to open your own advertising agency?
Sure. Well, I'm the managing director of Right Here Tanzania Limited, which is an advertising agency. So I've always worked in marketing. I've got 12 years experience now in marketing. So now that I'm the managing director, I do a little bit less of hands-on marketing, but I do, I look after the finances, I get involved in contracts, which I really like. I like the legal side of things, which is helping me to develop different areas of expertise. And what I really love is managing the team. I really love developing people, identifying talents and helping them to grow and fostering talent within the team.
Do you find it difficult to delegate a lot of your work? Are you one of those people who just likes to be in charge of everything, or do you like delegating?
It's something I've had to work on really hard. Yeah, it's something that's come along over, I think maybe in the last couple of years. I mean, you'd have to ask some of my team members to check that it's worked. But it's definitely something I've had to focus on because I always did find it hard to hand over parts of a project. But I think as you become more aware of what your actual skills are, what you are particularly good at, you can identify team members who can help you with the bits that you're not so good at.
Okay, so this is a question I usually ask everybody, but what are some of the challenges you face as a woman who runs a business, and how do you overcome these challenges?
There are all sorts of challenges, and it's not just here in Tanzania. I found as well. It's everywhere. You can encounter some difficulty with people who find it difficult to take instruction from or work with a woman. It can be challenging to people who are not used to that. But I find that by remaining patient, gracious, keeping your integrity, keeping your head, retaining professionalism at all times, I think if you make sure that you don't portray that there is an issue, you don't give off the idea that there is an issue, then hopefully most of the time you can overcome it.
Yeah, I think positive attitude is like so important, because I remember even when I started working at the beginning and being in such a position, just all of a sudden you'd get so furious because some people don't want to take you seriously. But yeah, I think that there's also such a beautiful aspect to it, because if you handle yourself well, then it can,
it's very positive.
So good. Yeah.
You have to avoid those kinds of behaviours that are feminine.
Yeah.
As soon as you start to lose your temper and get upset, then you've lost the battle just there. And keep your head. Exactly. It's usually okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Sheryl Sandberg, in her book Lean In, she said, "When women work outside the home and share breadwinning duties, couples are more likely to stay together. In fact, the risk of divorce reduces by about half when a wife earns half the income and a husband does half the housework." So what are your thoughts about this? And how do you create a balance being married, traveling, and working so many hours?
Okay, the second part of the question, creating the balance, I don't always create that balance, and I don't think many people actually manage. But what I've decided recently is to stop giving myself a hard time about it.
Right.
So now I'm trying harder, as well as with delegation, I'm trying harder to prioritise and keep those priorities of what really is important to spend my time on, and energies and attention, and focusing on that. Having said that, I do have a very, very supportive husband, and we do 50% of the housework, and we work equally hard, which is great, because at the end of the day, we both have something to talk to each other about. We feel equally valued in our relationship. We contribute as much as each other, although he does all of the cooking, so I don't contribute there at all. And it works for a much more balanced and stable home life. Yeah. I think Cheryl's a smart lady.
Sorry?
Cheryl's a smart lady.
Yeah, she is. She is. I think it's sometimes as women who want to have a career, I think that's one of the things that always stops them. The idea that, oh my God, will I be able to balance a family and having a career? But I think that it's possible. It's very possible. And as women, we want to be really good at housework, and we want to be able to be there for our kids. But not giving yourself a hard time about it is a good way to go about it, because you can't be perfect, right?
Absolutely. And some women, all they want to do is be at home with their children, to be a homemaker, which is incredibly hard work. Yes. And if that's what you want to do, then that's what you must do, and some people just don't. And exactly as you say, you've got to stop giving yourself a hard time. What I think is very important for people is to make sure, for women to make sure that what they're doing is not just what's expected of them. I don't mean disrespecting family or ignoring their familial responsibilities, but I used to do what I thought was expected of me, and at one point I thought, this is not working. I need to do what I want to do and what I'm good at, and that's what led to me coming to Tanzania, actually, in the first place. Yes. I wanted an adventure. I'd been in London for 7 years, I think, having a great time, but I knew that I needed to push myself further out of my comfort zone and to take up a new challenge in an unfamiliar environment, somewhere with a lot of possibility, of course, but
That's excellent. I feel it's just, I think sometimes women who do want to have a career, they are just a bit afraid that, will they be able to do it, or they think they can't. But I think that if you believe that you can, and if you don't give yourself such a hard time, you can definitely, create this balance.
You can try.
You can try.
Why not? You don't know. It's better to, It's better to regret something that you've done rather than something that you haven't done. You can try. If it doesn't work for you, you change it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So again, in my interviews, I always talk about all these challenges that women face when they're working. I do that because it's there that women do face challenges a lot more compared to men. At the same time, there's so many positive aspects of being a woman, being empowered and working. Can you name a few of the positive aspects and just tell me a little bit about the strengths of women, being a working woman?
Sure. I think, I mean, you mentioned her already, Cheryl talks about it a lot, but women are, we need to make sure that we remember our natural strengths as well as, you know, everything else that we do so well. We're natural nurturers.
Right.
Which doesn't necessarily mean that we have to stay home and look after children. It means that we can be incredible team builders, and we can work with each other. We can nurture talents. We can build businesses because we are good at that. And that's what I really enjoy. I also really enjoy that women have each other in a way that men don't have the same relationship with other women. I really enjoy when women work together well and for each other, and then take delight in watching each other succeed. I think it's really important that women do that. There can be the temptation to take other women down to push yourself forward, but it's 100 times better when we stick together and get things done together.
And I think in this day and age, in this world where we want women to get ahead, that we need to have the mentality. And I think that if we do work together, that there's so much more success we can have, and there's so much more we can do, you know. And yes, you're so right. Like, I feel like women have certain qualities about them, and sometimes it's so subtle, but they can do things so much better, you know, in a very subtle way. So
absolutely, women's communication as well as the nurturing skills. There's also, women can communicate like I think like men can't. Sorry men, but they can communicate. We're much more intuitive. We can express ourselves. We can influence other people. There's a lot of skills in our arsenal.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about marketing, just so that, a little bit about your career? Tell us something about like what you like about it, some of the things you don't like about marketing, and you know, just a little bit more.
Sure. Well, what attracted me to marketing in the first place was the variety of skills and areas that you need. Maybe I have a bit of a short attention span, but I like to be doing something different day in, day out. And with marketing, you know, one minute you're adding up a budget, the next you are critiquing some artwork. I love that. I love the change. It keeps my brain active. I think if you're, as you are, if you need stimulation and new challenges and to learn new things, marketing has solved all of that for me, which I feel very, very lucky to have found indeed. In my career, it's been a game of two halves, to make a football reference. The first half was spent doing direct marketing in the UK, which is not really applicable in the way that I was doing it here. Although with the emergence of digital marketing here, it's becoming more relevant. The response rate measurement and direct response capabilities of digital marketing. It's been very exciting to get really stuck into advertising in a very transformative time in Tanzania. People are doing things here for the first time every day here, which is fantastic and really, really fascinating for me. So it's been really interesting to watch that journey over the last 6 years.
I think me being in marketing as well, I feel like it's so much fun because I studied finance, and when I came here, being in a business, and it's such a big business, there was no marketing department, and I was like, what is going on? And when I started the department, I realized that there's so much you can do because this, you know, there's like, this market is so untapped in that way. There's so much you can do in terms of marketing. There's so much imagination you can use, you know, in order to push your products.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the best thing about working here and marketing here, right? Because you can do anything, basically, you know, so.
And you're leapfrogging with all the technology leapfrogs that are being made here. In the UK, they're still, you know, calling people on landlines, whereas here, you know, everyone has a mobile phone, and you're only bothering to contact them through Facebook, you know, or whatever it is. There's many leapfrogs which are making this actually kind of cutting edge, actually. Yeah.
Awesome.
Very interesting.
So what advice or suggestions can you give women who are walking the path of empowerment?
I think I don't have the answer, but that's okay. And I think everyone should rest assured that no one has the answer.
Right.
Because what you really should do is do what feels right to you. You should figure out as soon as you can what it is that you love doing or that you're really good at. Yeah. Preferably both. I mean, that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal. And do what feels right to you. And as soon as you do start feeling, doing what feels right to you, the world responds with positivity. Exactly. So, you know, you start inspiring other people with your positive energy, and you will find that there are people around you who are willing to support you and work with you and follow you, you know, if you give off this feeling of comfort and ease in what it is that you're doing. Yeah. Not that you don't have to work very, 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 very hard at the same time, but
And it doesn't have to be something huge. It can be anything, and I think that's what you're so right about it. It's something that makes you happy, you know. But yeah, I do believe also that empowerment is also about giving back. Whatever you have learned or whatever you have within you, that you know your strengths. It is your duty, I feel, to give back. To others, whether it's through your intelligence or through whatever way you can.
You're right. I took a lot of inspiration growing up from my mother, who's a very, very hard-working single mother, teacher, worked all throughout our childhood, and whilst giving us the most wonderful of upbringings. And my stepmother, who was a journalist, both of whom were working in much harder times than now even. And what I like to think, and I think what women can find a useful guiding principle is, what would I like my daughter to take from me? What would I like her to see me doing? And what would she like to emulate?
I think you ended it on a perfect note. You have to think about your children and what sort of, you know, through your actions and not only through your words, what sort of example you're setting for them, you know. So it was so lovely having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Inviting me. Thank you.
And thank you.
Thanks.